What's up, Feather Sword? Welcome back to the channel. So today, let's talk a little bit about my predictions for the final episode of The Bad Batch. So I can see this going one of two ways. So let's kind of think back to what we already know that is coming.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
So we know from the Rise of Skywalker that Palpatine did make his return, and there has to be some way that Tantus is playing a big part in this. Why would they spend the entire season basically leaving and trying to get back? So there has to be something bigger at stake here. So my first prediction is what I think is going to happen is I think the Bad Batch is going to get there. I mean, they're obviously on the ship on the way, but I think what's going to happen is I don't think they're leaving Tantus alive. I think that all four would die, and somehow Omega will end up living through all of this. And I don't know if she's going to get some help, which I believe she will get help, which will be prediction number 2. We'll get there in a second. But I believe in the next episode, we are probably going to lose Wrecker, and we're also going to lose Echo. You know, Echo really hasn't been around the entire season. He kind of came out of nowhere this last episode with that ship. And I just feel like his storyline, there's not much more to do. And I feel like Wrecker, out of the whole group, is, I don't know, he's more just the brawn of the group, the comedian of the group. And I don't think there's much more to tell with those two characters. So I think those two characters will end up dying in this next episode. In the final episode, I think is when we lose Hunter, and I think we're also going to lose Crosshair. Now, what's interesting is the whole handshaking thing with Crosshair. Maybe I was looking too deep into this, and I think maybe at this point, it's just showing that he does have a weakness, and that's probably going to end up costing him his life. Because I was speculating that maybe there was something going on with him, like he was actually a clone, and the real Crosshair was in the assassin clone's armor. Well, I've kind of changed my prediction on that, just based on what we've seen in over the last 4 to 5 episodes. So what I think is going to happen is I think the assassin clone, we are going to find out it is actually Asajj Ventress. So we met the assassin clone before the episode with Asajj, and then all of a sudden Asajj kind of pops out of nowhere. I know she was contacted by Fee to locate the Bad Batch and all of that, but I feel like that is what the show is doing to kind of take the attention off the fact that I think Asajj has kind of been checking in on them because of Omega, because I do think there is some type of link between Asajj and Omega, and I still think it could be something with Rey as well down the road. Now, will we find that out here? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do anything like that, because I think the whole part of season 3 is we're just trying to figure out how exactly Palpatine came up with this huge plan, and look how many years it's been going for him to actually become basically immortal. Who knows? Will we ever see Palpatine again in Star Wars live action? I don't know. Probably not. I hope not. But it makes a little bit of sense that he was able to come back, but it was just poorly done by J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy. And again, I think that it was like a last minute thing that they came up with just because they didn't know what else to do. And now we have to go back and retcon a ton of this. And that is, that's the whole issue with the sequel trilogy, is there was no plan. So now this is what we have to do. I do think that Asajj is under that clone armor. I think she's going to be the one that gets Omega off of that planet. The Bad Batch will die. I think all 4 will die. Because again, I mean, how many more clones are we going to have alive? Like, at this point, we have Rex. And there's that one clone we saw in Kenobi. Like, he was kind of like on the street, just kind of hanging out. People were like, oh, is that Commander Cody? I don't think it's anyone. I think it's just happened to be one random clone that was alive still. At this point in the story, especially if you look at us in the Mandalorian time frame, there are no clones. Like, who knows if Rex is even still alive? I mean, maybe he is, which is good. I mean, I don't have a problem with one, but like, Can you imagine how awful it would be? Like, what if like Hunter just showed up in the Mandalorian movie? I mean, would you guys really like that? I don't know. I don't like that idea. I feel like the Bad Batch needs to be its own thing. This was their story. They obviously will help Omega, but I do think Asajj Ventress is going to be the one who actually gets her off of that planet. Now, where do they go from there? I have no idea. You know, maybe they go off into some different galaxy, and that's kind of where they're chilling for a while, and they let everything blow over, and maybe we do see them in the Ahsoka series or even in the Mando movie. I wouldn't have a big problem with that as long as they make it make sense. I mean, I would love to see Asajj and Ahsoka on the same screen in live action. I think that'd be phenomenal. I mean, Asajj is one of my top 5 characters in Star Wars. Like, she's such a well-written character, and I'm glad they brought her back. But I want more. Like, you know, when I went into this season after we watched the trailer with Asajj being in at the end of that, I was pumped. I thought for sure we were going to see her for like a 2 to 3 episode arc, not just one quick episode that kind of doesn't really fit with the rest of the story. Yes, I know that she was supposed to give them the information that they needed, but they could have went another way with it. So there has to be some reason why we got Asajj. You know, back over on Tantus, then, what are we going to do with that planet? Is it going to be destroyed? How are they getting all of this data and cloning information away from there? Because again, I feel like this is like the first step of it. The second step is kind of with Pershing in the Mandalorian, and then obviously the third step would be Exegol, where, you know, we saw all the encased bodies of different Snoke clones. That part's a little bit tough to kind of see, and maybe this isn't the show for that, because if Asajj does rescue Omega and they end up living, I could see that maybe they do make the next animated cartoon about them too, and maybe it's them trying to then destroy Tantus or destroy all these plans, and maybe that's kind of what they're trying to do in the new series. But again, I think as far as the Bad Batch goes, our clones, I feel like we just need to kind of end it. It's going to be sad, obviously. Like, we've been with these characters for, you know, 3 seasons now, but I don't want them to bring them back just to bring them back. Like, I just feel like that part of the Star Wars story for these characters should just be over. And I think it will be a really good idea to end maybe 2 of them the next episode, and then the next 2 the final episode. And it gives you 2 really high emotional episodes to end the series. You know, again, I've said a couple times on these breakdowns that I thought Wrecker should have died when the Marauder was blown up, and I thought that would have gave the rest of the season more, you know, higher stakes. So I don't know, guys. That's kind of what I'm predicting. Let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you think anyone's surviving this thing? Do you think they're all going to die like I do? What do you think about Omega? Do you think we're going to see Asajj? And do you even think that we're going to find out who the assassin clone is? Maybe we won't even see that character anymore. I'm hoping that we do find that he's somebody or she's somebody. So I don't know, guys. Let me know. Don't forget to keep those heads on, and I'll see you guys in the next video.